Good morning, Year 11. I hope you're well and having a lovely day. Please could you write the title, Spring Triweekly 1, Question 2 Comparisons, Critical Style Focus. Then, for your do now, I would like you to write a list of as many connectives as you can. So please pause the video to do that now. Okay, so these are some connectives that you might have come up with. Showing similarity, likewise, similarly, equally in the same way. Adding a point, also, as well as, moreover, furthermore, and showing difference, alternatively, by contrast, however, on the other hand. So please pause the video and make sure you have all of these connectives written down. So, an overview of question 2. You will be asked to explore similarities, differences, or both. You will need 3 points. You do not have to analyse, but your evidence has to explicitly support the point you are making. So in terms of your structure, you could start with both texts and then state a similarity that links to the question, or if you're contrasting them, you'd say, on the one hand, text 1, and then quote, on the other hand, text 2. However, assuming similarity, both texts, in text 1, quote, similarly in text 2, quote. So you've used your comparative connectives and you've quoted from both texts. So you can also think about the Christmas tree model to help you. Some people find it confusing, some people find it helpful. So if it doesn't make sense, don't worry, just ignore it, but it may help you. So you always start with both, or if they are different, you would say on the one hand. But generally, the majority of questions will ask you for similarities, in which case you would use both. Text 1, so then you quote from text 1. Similarly, or you can say by contrast if you're talking about differences, and then you quote from text 2. Also, both, remember if you're doing on contrast, then you would say, however, on the other hand. Then once again, you repeat the process, text 1, similarly text 2, or whereas in text 1, by contrast text 2, depending if you're looking at similarities or differences. And then you repeat the process for your third point. So to summarize, you need 3 points. You need comparative connectives throughout your answer, and you need to have supporting quotations that explicitly support your points of comparison. So explicitly, remember, means on the surface, so you're not having to work out these comparisons. It's abundantly clear from the quotes you've used what these comparisons are. So that is your structure for question 2. Okay, so we're now going to move on to your spring tri-weekly, the first tri-weekly of the lockdown period. So you're going to have 25 minutes to read and write your response. The tri-weekly is attached on class charts, so please do open that and have a look at it now. Where possible, please can you type up your responses rather than writing it by hand. So in terms of how tri-weeklies are going to work, I believe it's the same for all your subjects, but what's going to happen is you're going to do them in the normal way in timed conditions. However, the way they're being marked is slightly different. So because everyone's working in slightly different situations and it isn't possible to ensure that everyone's working in the same time conditions to complete it, we didn't think it would be right to mark it in the usual way and give you individual feedback. What's going to happen instead is I'm going to review them, and so I'm going to read all of them, and using that knowledge of what you've done, I'm going to highlight the points of strength and weakness in a response lesson next week. So you're still getting feedback in response to your tri-weeklies, but instead of it being individual feedback and getting a mark, which wouldn't be fair or reasonable in the situation, it's going to be class feedback. But however, I'm still going to read all of the tri-weeklies that you submit. So please do make sure it's your best effort, because remember, I am currently making the forecasts for your English language and literature, and it will be really helpful to see how you're doing, because that could help inform my decision-making process. So do bear in mind we've got centre-assessed grades, and it'd be really helpful to see how you're doing when I'm reviewing what I'm going to give you and the data that we have on file. Okay, so typing up is easier because when I'm scanning through all of them, it's significantly easier to see things online on Word rather than trying to work out your handwriting. Some people it's perfect, it's easy. Some people it's a little bit more tricky. So if you're able to do it on Word, that'd be really helpful. So read through the extract carefully and then plan your answer. Once you've finished your work, please could you upload your response ready for the feedback lesson. So your question is as follows. Both texts discuss the experience of going to prison. What other similarities and differences do they share? So you could have 3 similarities, 3 differences. Actually, what I'd recommend, have 1 similarity, 1 difference, and then 1 which can either be a similarity or difference. I believe you can do 3 of one or 3 of the other, but just to be on the safe side and to make it seem like you've really answered the question, I would do 1 of each if you can, and a third one of either similarity or difference. So that is your Triweekly. Like I said, 25 minutes to read and write up your response. Please do make sure you time it, because if these mocks go ahead in March, they will of course be in timed conditions. So it's really important that you're practicing using the timing, so then when you go to the exam, you're not frantic and falling behind time and missing out marks. So please do set yourself a timer on your phone or on a clock for 25 minutes to do your Triweekly. So pause the video and do that now, please. And that brings us to the end of today's lesson. Thank you very much for your hard work. I hope you didn't find it too taxing. Question 2 is one of the easier questions, so hopefully it's a good way to ease you back into the Triweekly process, at least for English. And we do have another one coming up on Friday for literature. So do make sure you're revising literature, Jacqueline Hyde as well, so you can do Friday's Triweekly in timed conditions. So thank you once again, have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll speak to you next time.